Okay, this was a review I gave you in class. I also gave you another review just right now through the internet of sample questions. So I'm just going to go over this here. Find a pattern for each sequence. Describe the pattern. 1,000, 100, 10. What they're doing is they're dividing by 10. So the next one, and I'll put 7 here. It's going to be 1,000. They divide by 10. It's 100. They divide by 10. It's 10. 1. And then it's 1 over 10. Okay? And then so on. Number 8, they're alternating. They go from 5 to -1, 5 to -1, 5 to negative, 5 and -5, 5, -5, 5, -5. So that's the pattern, and that's how you can figure out the next two. So it's going to be 5 and then -5. So number 9, it starts at 34. It starts at 34, and then it goes to 27, to 20, and 13. And what's happening is they're decreasing by 7. So 34 minus 7 gives you 27. 27 minus 7 gives you 20. 20 minus 7 gives you 13. 13 minus 7 gives you 6. So if you were to subtract 7 again, it would be -1, and then so on. So that would be a conjecture based on the pattern. So a conjecture is just a conclusion, okay? So for number 10, and I'll write 10 here, we know that we start off with 6. 6 times 4 gives you 24. 24 times 4 gives you 96. 96 times 4 gives you 384. So to find the next one, it'd have to be 384 times 4, right? Which gives you 1,536. That's 384 times 4. And then you have 1,536 times 4. You get 6,144. So that's the pattern. It's the previous number times 4. Okay, so number 12, find a counterexample for each conjecture. So counterexample means what would make this a false statement? The city of Portland is in Oregon. Well, I told the class that Portland is not only in Oregon. There is a city of Portland in Texas, and I'm pretty sure there's a city in another state in the United States named Portland. Number 13, it says rewrite each sentence as a conditional. All motorcyclists wear helmets. So for conditional, you need an if and then. If you are a motorcyclist, then you wear a helmet. So you have a hypothesis and a conclusion. If 2 lines are non-parallel, so that's the if part, that's a hypothesis, then they intersect at one point. And I apologize, my handwriting is horrible. 2 non-parallel lines intersect at one point. If 2 lines are non-parallel, then they intersect at one point. Okay. So I just wrote the conditional for number 14. Angles that form a linear pair are supplementary. If the angles are a linear pair, if the angles are a linear pair, then they are supplementary. And that's the conditional. If the angles are a linear pair, then they are supplementary. School is closed on certain holidays. If it's a school, or if it is a school, then it's closed on certain holidays. So the hypothesis is, if it's a school, the conclusion is then it is closed on certain holidays. You have a hypothesis and conclusion. Number 17, if an angle is obtuse, then its measure is greater than 90 and less than 180. So to find the converse, I'm going to write it up here. I'm going to write C. If the angle is greater than 90, if angle is greater than 90 and less than 180, then it's obtuse. So the converse is, if the angle is greater than 90 and less than 180, then it's obtuse. The inverse, all you have to do is write not. So this is a converse, this is the inverse. If the angle is not obtuse, if the angle is not obtuse, then the measure is not greater than 90 and less than 180. And what you're doing here for the inverse, you're going to make not for the conditional. Okay. The contrapositive is, you have to make this statement here on top, you have to make it with a not. So it gets kind of messy here, so I'm going to try to make some space here. And I'll write it on top. I'll write contrapositive. If the angle is not, if the angle is not greater than 90, or less than 180, then it's not obtuse. So the contrapositive is the inverse, and you have to make it not. So here's the converse, here's the inverse. If the angle is not obtuse, then its measure is not greater than 90 and less than 180. And the contrapositive, if the angle is not greater than 90 and less than, if the angle is not greater than 90 or less than 180, then it's not obtuse. Number 18, if a figure is a square, then it has 4 sides. So I have to switch these two. If it has 4 sides, then it's a square. For inverse, if the figure is not a square, then it does not have 4 sides. And then the contrapositive, I look at the converse. If it does not have 4 sides, then it's not a square. So those are my statements. Number 19, if you play the tuba, then you play an instrument. So the converse is, if you play an instrument, then you play a tuba. The inverse, if you do not play the tuba, then you don't play an instrument. And then contrapositive, if you do not play an instrument, then you do not play a tuba. You got to look at the converse. I'm going to leave it up to you to do number 20 on your own, okay? This is an algebraic proof. It's a 2-column proof. We're given QS equals 42. We have to prove that X equals 13. So we always know that we start with the given. That's what they gave us. What did they give us? They gave us that QS is equal to 42. We know that QR plus RS is equal to QS. That is the segment addition postulate. That means we're adding the two smaller segments to make the large segment. From step 2 to step 3, we're putting in the measurements, so that's substitution. Substitution property. And then from 3 to 4, you notice that we added x plus 2x to give us 3x, so that's simplifying. And then from 4 to 5, we subtracted 3 from both sides, so that's subtraction property. And then from 5 to 6, that's division property. So we did prove our original statement that x equals 13. 31, use the given property to complete the statement. Division property, 2 times ax equals 2 times by, so ax equals by, since I divided both sides by 2. Distributive property, we have a 3, and you're going to be left with p minus 2 times q. So we're kind of going backwards on the distributive property. If you want to check, you would just have to multiply 3 times p is 3p, and then 3 times 2 is 6. Use the diagram for exercise 33 through 36. It says find the value of y. We know that these two are vertical angles. And what do we know about vertical angles? They are congruent, so you have 3y plus 20 equals 5y minus 16. We're going to subtract 3y from both sides. So we have 20 equals 2y minus 16, because that's going to be 0. So that's 2y. We add 16 to both sides. So 2y equals 36. So y equals 18. So now to find each angle measurement, all we have to do is substitute. To find the measure of angle AEC, it's going to be 3 times 18 plus 20. You see I substituted? So that's going to give you 74. And if that's 74, then I know that this is automatically 74 because vertical angles are congruent. So angle BED, measurement BDE is 74. Now to find AB, all we have to do is subtract 180 minus 74, which is going to give us 106 degrees. You're not going to have to do number 37. That's going to be the end for this part of the review.